All right, let's call it what it is. The internet has officially flipped the script, and some people are not loving the plot twist. For years, Vanessa Feltz has been out here talking about Harry and Meghan like it's a full-time sport. Every move gets a breakdown, every photo gets a theory, every project gets sliced up on TV like it's a buffet. And the tone? Yeah, people noticed. It wasn't just commentary, it started feeling like a never-ending group chat where one couple is always the topic and never gets to speak. Now, fast forward to today, and suddenly the energy's different. Her Channel 5 show getting dropped has people online doing that slow nod like, oh, so this is how the game goes. And let's be real, regular people understand this instantly. You don't need a media degree for it. If you've ever had a job, a group chat, or even a nosy neighbor, you get it. When you spend years talking about people, don't act surprised when the conversation eventually swings back your way. That's the thing the internet never forgets. People might move on, but screenshots don't, clips don't, old takes don't. And once the audience decides to rewind the tape, everything starts looking a little different in hindsight. What makes this moment hit harder is the contrast. Harry and Meghan have been picked apart from every angle for years, sometimes fair, sometimes way over the line, and a lot of people watching from the sidelines have been saying the same thing for a while now. Why is it always them? So when the person holding the mic suddenly becomes part of the story, the reaction online isn't shock, it's more like, yeah, people were bound to notice eventually. This isn't about celebrating anyone losing a platform, it's more about how fast the spotlight moves now. Today you're the commentator, tomorrow you're the headline. That's the world we're in. And honestly, regular folks are just watching this whole thing unfold while thinking about their own lives, rent, bills, work stress, and noticing how quickly public attention builds people up and tears them down. The takeaway is simple. If you build your whole brand on talking about others, you can't act confused when the mirror gets turned around. And Harry and Meghan, they've been living under that microscope for years, some of it fair, a lot of it not. So when the narrative starts shifting even slightly, a lot of viewers are basically saying, finally, the noise isn't one-sided anymore. Anyway, the internet is gonna internet, the commentary cycle keeps spinning, and this time it just happened to spin back around a little closer to home. Look, this is one of those moments where the internet just sits back, grabs popcorn and goes, yeah, we saw this coming. Vanessa Feltz has been in that Sussex conversation for a long time, not casually either, full-on front-row seat energy. Every time Harry and Meghan moved, there was a breakdown, a panel, a take, then another take on the first take. At some point, it stopped feeling like commentary and started feeling like a whole running series with no season finale. And now, the twist. Reports that her Channel 5 show has been dropped, and suddenly the tone online has shifted from let's discuss to, interesting. Because here's the thing regular people understand instantly. You can't spend years talking about people like they're a permanent headline and expect the universe to never circle back. That's not karma in a mystical sense, that's just how attention works in 2026. Everything gets saved, everything gets replayed, nothing really disappears anymore. And the internet is petty, not evil, just observant. Very observant. So now the same way Harry and Meghan have been dissected for years, sometimes fairly, sometimes way over the top, the spotlight has done a little U-turn, and suddenly the commentator is in the frame too. That's the part people are clocking, not in a celebratory way, more like a, wow, so this is how the machine actually feels when it points back at you moment. Because let's keep it real, regular folks know this energy from everyday life, group chats, workplaces, school, even family reunions. If you're always the one talking about people, eventually someone's going to look at you like, all right then, what about you? And that's what's happening here. The cycle just came full circle. What makes it even more noticeable is how long Harry and Meghan have been in that constant spotlight. Every move, every appearance, every silence gets turned into content. And a lot of viewers have been saying for a while now, why is this couple a 24/7 topic? So when the narrative flips even slightly, people notice immediately. Not because they're obsessed with the commentator, but because they recognize the pattern. And honestly, that's the bigger story here. Let's just be honest about what's going on here. This whole Sussex media cycle has been running on pure attention fuel for years. Some commentators built their entire careers off it. Not a side topic, not a weekly segment, full-on main character energy every time Harry and Meghan so much as blinked in public. New project, covered. Old interview, replayed. Random photo turned into a 10-minute breakdown with dramatic pauses and raised eyebrows. And here's the funny part nobody likes to say out loud. A lot of the same voices voices complaining, "Why are Harry and Meghan always in the news?" are also the ones keeping them in the news. That's the twist. It's like someone shouting, "This party is too loud," while standing in the middle of the DJ booth adjusting the volume knob. Regular people see that instantly. No media degree needed. If you've ever been in a group chat, you know how this works. One person says, "I'm tired of this topic," then sends the next 5 messages about the exact same topic. That's the cycle. And with Harry and Meghan, it's been on repeat. Say you're exhausted by the coverage, then drop another segment about the coverage. Say it's overexposed, then write another think piece about how overexposed it is. At some point, the criticism starts looking like it's feeding itself. That's why people raise an eyebrow, because if something truly annoys you, you step back. You don't keep building scaffolding around it and adding more lights so everyone can see it better. But that's not what happened here. Instead, the machine kept spinning. Every take created another take. Every reaction created a response. And suddenly, Harry and Meghan weren't just public figures. They were the easiest content loop in the media ecosystem. Now, to be fair, they've also been dealing with a level of scrutiny most people couldn't survive. Every move picked apart, every silence interpreted like it's evidence in court. That's a heavy load to carry just for existing in public life. So when regular viewers look at the whole setup, a lot of them aren't angry, they're just clocking the pattern. Because here's the street-level truth. If you keep feeding something attention, don't act surprised when it grows teeth and keeps coming back. And that's what this whole Sussex media cycle became. Not just reporting, not just opinion, a loop, a feedback machine, a whole ecosystem that survived because everyone kept pushing it forward, even the people saying they were tired of it. Nobody gave us a manual for social media. One day we were scrolling cat videos. Next thing you know, everybody's a journalist, a critic, a detective, and a courtroom sketch artist all in one. And yeah, it got loud, very loud, sometimes chaotic. Comment sections turned into arenas where people argue like their life savings depend on it. But underneath all that noise, something real happened. The audience finally got a microphone. Now people don't just sit there and accept whatever headline gets served them. They ask questions. Simple ones, real ones. Who said this? Where's the full clip? Why does this version feel edited? That's the shift. Before all this, the media landscape was basically one group tells the story, everyone else consumes it. Clean, controlled, predictable. The narrator had the final word and that was that. Now, not so much. Now the audience can check receipts in real time. If something feels off, it gets called out instantly. If something is missing context, someone will find it. If a narrative feels too polished, people start digging. And that's where things got interesting with Harry and Meghan, because instead of staying locked inside the old system, they started speaking directly. Interviews, platforms, their own projects, their own voice unfiltered by the usual gatekeeping layers. And suddenly the game changed. It wasn't just what did the media say about them anymore, it became who's actually telling this story and why does it sound different depending on where you hear it. That's a big shift, because once people can hear multiple sides directly, they stop trusting automatic interpretations. They start comparing, they start noticing patterns, they start choosing who makes sense to them. And yeah, some traditional media folks don't love that, because when people can access the source, the middle step isn't as powerful as it used to be. The gate isn't gone, but it's definitely not the only entrance anymore. But here's the thing regular people understand immediately. Nobody likes feeling like they're being told what to think. Not at work, not in life, not online. If something feels one-sided, people will push back. That's just human nature. So now you've got this constant tug of war. Old system versus new access, curated narrative versus direct voice, headlines versus raw footage. And Harry and Meghan, they won the narrative. Thank you all for watching. God bless you all. Peaceful weekend ahead.